All right, all right, all right. What's happening, everybody? Guys, tuning in for another episode of the Power Hour. Got little Cuz joining us back in Texas.
Yep. Yep.
But it's good to be kicking around down there a little bit too.
It is, man. It's very good to be here.
Yeah, love it, man. It's we got spoiled in that area, being there as long as we were, and it grew up around us, and just definitely not many places like it. That's for sure.
Good vibe.
Really good vibe. Get folks jumping in with us. If you got any questions, comment, things on your mind, throw it in, and we'll dive in and unpack it for you. But there are a couple things that I want to kind of hit on, kind of what I'm kind of seeing in the market and agent behavior, and definitely want you to dive in and unpack this, because there's not a situation that we haven't seen or uncovered or been a part of, over the last almost 20 years together. It's creeping up fast on that, which is crazy to think. But a lot of agents in the marketplace, man, they're starting to come to a panic. And, when they start panicking, they start to become paralyzed, and then they stop taking action. And a lot of them, because they haven't developed the skill set and capabilities to be able to attract opportunities, and especially attract opportunities on the listing side of their business. And so now, their whole business has been built, buyer leads, making friends, burning the candle at every end, almost working, 15, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's just not sustainable. And so they're getting frustrated and they're becoming paralyzed. Let's give, some really good, mental refocus, because that's the first thing, right? Cause is that, mentally they're feeling defeated, and then they're becoming paralyzed, and then they're just not taking action. So I'd love to kind of talk through that, because I'm hearing it more and more, and just kind of seeing it. And it's like, you're not taking the action. There's something mentally blocking you right now. What's going on? So I think this would be kind of good to unpack while folks are still joining us, and maybe spark some questions that they may have.
Yeah, man. I mean, funny story. Mike's was looking at houses in Newman Village, this neighborhood that we both used to live in here in Texas, and and one of the agents that's a friend of theirs, basically got the list and just started calling every homeowner in the neighborhood. Ended up turning up 3 listing opportunities out of it, one of which Mike might end up buying, but it was drumming up opportunities. And it's when the market shifts like this, if you haven't been focused on the listing side, then all you can do is put the effort metric to it. It's conversations. I mean, right now, if anybody should be, everybody should be at least considering potentially selling at the top of what may be the top of the market. So there's a lot of people that are thinking that, but you catch people before they make that decision to put it on the market, you have an opportunity. So to me, it's just this is the time where you have to put in the extra additional effort in, and do some of the work that you haven't been doing in the past, because it's necessary if you want to make a shift.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Let's give them some actionable items. I know things that have, worked for us, to mentally put in the work to be able to, kind of overcome, challenges and things around us that might be some good exercises, good tools, for people to maybe dive into.
What are you thinking?
Well, I always default back to, if you haven't gone through the miracle morning for real estate agents, or you haven't gone through it in a while, you've got to go back through it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you look at Hal's savers that he really breaks apart inside of there, that you guys unpack. And those are the things that are hard, that make it easier during hard times. And that's why the 75 hard program is so powerful because it forces you to do the things that you don't want to do to build those muscles. And I just so many times just people in such a reactive state that they're not being proactive with the things because they don't feel like those things will help them.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, it's it starts with, having a clear plan. It's like anything else, if you're paralyzed, then you're just not clear on what you need to be doing. And, start with, starting your day with the miracle morning, is preparing yourself for success. And this is one of those times that, real estate is one of those businesses where, anything worth doing is going to be hard at times. And, what's going to push you through is when you have clarity as to your why and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And so, having a clear strategy, a plan that you're willing to execute on. To me right now, the simple thing that anybody can do is getting the information, and a single line dialer and just making calls. Anybody can do that. And, if you do that long enough, you're going to drum up opportunities. And if you have opportunities, eventually you'll be so busy that you will stop making those calls. but that's, that's really all it takes in this market. It's just an effort metric.
And most aren't willing to put in that effort. So if you just do the activity, you're going to be ahead of 90, 96, 97, 98% of the other agents out there.
You'll be when others aren't.
Exactly. And the data is available. And then it's like you said, just making the phone calls and really putting in and focusing on time in seat, number of dials, and conversations. You nailed it, right? And so you look at it, and we did the math. We did the math internally back in Lawton in a balanced market. And even then, the amount of time that went in with buyers versus working with sellers, and you're like, "Ooh, I got a live one. I got a buyer here." Doesn't mean they're a buyer. And if you take that and you spend that amount of time, and they never buy with you, just imagine how much if you would have reallocated that time to that one simple strategy you said right there of get a list, one dialer, and make calls and focus on having conversations. It's just like you said, that agent working with Mikey drummed up 3 opportunities. What's the average sales price in Newman Village?
Oh yeah, about 1.5 million.
There you go.
Yeah. And that's the thing, when you're calling data, that's, you pick the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? So, you can effectively increase your average sale price just by the strategy of itself. So, if your average sale price is 500,000 and you want to focus on, and the $1 million market's moving really well, then you could double your average sale price by that same activity.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And I think that's the big thing too, letting go of ego and thinking I've got to do the number of transactions and really looking at what's the dollar per transaction. And, I got a gentleman that, he's like, geez, like I can do 1 to the equivalent of 4. And he's like, it's no more time. It's all the same amount of time. And I was like, return on time. You've got to pay attention to that. And you just got to look at, don't jump at whatever seems the easiest for you. Just because somebody, we joke about this all the time, right? Just because you got a fish on the line doesn't mean you don't, you got to reel that bad boy in.
Right.
Sometimes you can cut them loose and let them go and reallocate your time on a bigger, better opportunity that's going to turn your time faster.
Yep.
And, I think that's always the thing to remember, what we've always told people to go through, when you're looking at kind of, hey, where do I need to be focused to create demand and opportunity for my business? It's lowest cost, easiest to implement, fastest return, just making sure you're running through that checklist of, hey, if I do this, what's going to help make the cash register ring faster? And working with a buyer that might not be able to buy in this market, that ain't going to necessarily make your cash register ring faster.
Nope.
So I think it's being a lot smarter. Appreciate you guys jumping in. If you got any questions, comments, if you're even paying attention, throw something in the comments for us. Let us know you're even listening. Just at least say hello. Throw it in. Man,
So I guess the mask mandate's been lifted. So
I was on an airplane yesterday morning and it wasn't lifted.
yeah, a friend of ours was headed to Puerto Rico. Halfway there on a Delta flight, they announced that the masks were now optional.
Oh, that would have been good to have.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll be good for you guys heading back home.
Right, it will be.
On Sunday.
Well,
Yeah, no.
anywhere airplanes, most likely.
Man, so nuts. So nuts. Just crazy. Oh. All right, guys, what's on your mind? What questions you got? Return on time. Yep. Return on time. Hey, I want one thing to kind of talk about, and it's more so for those agents out there that are committed or wanting or trying to figure out how to increase headcount. And I found some of the old 90-day to success plan that we had for JKRE.
Yep.
And I just stumbled upon it and I was like, God dang. And it just made me realize that I was talking with Mary Peacock this morning, and she's all excited about Branded Agent University. And I'm like, you should. I said, you have to remember your onboarding is about how can we streamline and accelerate the process to get them to the closing table the fastest. And so I know you had a couple lives with Jeff really pushing it, and I just wanted to, be doing a disservice if we didn't at least touch on that a little bit for the folks tuning into this that might have missed that conversation with you and Jeff. And Branded Agent University is a real solution if you're trying to increase headcount in your organization.
Yeah, it's I was really blown away with what he's been able to do. Obviously, people have the challenge of, what is this organization I'm building? What is the brand? He helps with that. But having that whole onboarding process, being able to see all of the content in one place that you want them to consume, and have one place where you can track all of that. And or if you have as we used to always say, John, most people they start hiring agents before they even had a hiring process, process, or an ongoing training process. Those are three huge processes that have to be in place to have success. I mean, if you don't even have agreements with your agents on what's expected of them, what does success look like, what is the scoreboard, then it's not likely that they're going to be successful. And they don't even really probably know what success looks like. And so, that's a key component, but delivering and measuring all that is something that's just kind of missing for most teams. And so this is a great tool to help with that.
Yeah. And, one of the questions, hey, best advice for newly licensed agents. And I think the very first thing is that you've got to help them get clear on what their goal is. And, I love I always remember old Gordon Bazar from our first J. Abraham, encounter, first event we spent with him. And I'll never forget, man, he told the story of, just imagine that you're flying your airplane over, heading to Cairo, and you're over the desert and your plane goes down and you crash. And what do? Right? The first thing you do is you grab all of the supplies and then you focus on survival. And he said, what happens when we just focus on survival is that we run out of supplies and we perish. He said, so the best advice is grab what you need, grab your compass and grab your map and keep moving towards the direction you were trying to go. You have a better chance of survival by keep moving forward than you do standing still. And I think that was just kind of my whole point of the, us kicking the conversation off, was that most people, they hunker down and focus on survival. They run out of supplies and they perish, instead of, hey, where the hell were you going in the first place?
Right.
And then make sure that, you have enough resources that you can and get moving. You have a better chance of doing that and surviving than standing still. Right. And so what we used to always do with our team, that we would take them through the personal action plan, help them get clear on their goal, reverse engineer down to, this is what it's going to take. Are you willing to commit to that? Here's what that's going to look like. And then taking them through our one-page strategic plan, helping them build their plan, their roadmap, so that when they do slow down and get a little paralyzed, you can have them come back to their map on what they need to do to keep moving forward. Those are the two best tools that you can do for any agent. And it's what we did with our team. We would do it every quarter. We would sit down with them on their goals, revisit their goals. I mean, I just remember sitting in our office, we had the whole squad around there and we're talking about personal action plan. We're talking about their straight line plan. And that allowed us to maximize agent productivity at the highest levels because they had a goal, they had a plan, they had clarity, they had confidence. And, you know, something Coach Burt,
there was a daily rhythm.
Boom.
We were always, what are the leading indicator? What's the lagging indicator? What's in your calendar for today?
100%.
Like, that's it right there. Right.
And those tools are in Branded Agent University. They're right there for you. And so if you're looking to increase your head count, your team, and you're looking for some automation, some resources, some tools, some streamline, those are the tools. If you want to accelerate their productivity, and you all do, we all do. We want to accelerate their productivity, and that's where you guys need to go. Bentic, I know you had brought that up. Jay, you want to kind of re-emphasize that? And then I had something I told Mary this morning. I would love your feedback on this, but go ahead and share that with Dave.
So it's I don't know that the strategy changes just because they're in a small town. I think the math, it always starts with the math. And what problem, what are they trying to accomplish? The challenge that, you have in a smaller market where the average sale price is a little bit less is sometimes that, being at a smaller company, on a higher split, sometimes a lot of the agents don't hit the cap, man. They're going to do 30 or 40 deals to cap. And, it's a tougher sell to get them to EXP. But realistically, small town, is no different than anything else. I mean, that agent still has the ability, has influence. In some cases, you get along with your agents in your marketplace. I didn't. We dunked on them for way too long, and a lot of the agents in that small town marketplace, wouldn't have looked at me as somebody that they would follow just because I did something necessarily. And so, that there could be that in a little bit in some small markets, but realistically, the strategy doesn't change. It's still there's point A, point B that you're trying to get to. How is this going to help them get there faster? That's still the same strategy. And so, the opportunity doesn't necessarily look different either. They're going to get stock. They still have an opportunity to recruit and revenue share and the circles that they have in that market, but it's never local. That's the biggest mistake I think a lot of people think of when they're recruiting is they're only thinking local. It's not local. It's much bigger than that. And so yeah, I don't know that the strategy really changes. We've brought in a lot of people in a lot of small markets, small agents. It comes down to what's their goals and how are we going to help them solve that, and what's the math look like in comparison to where they're at.
And Mary's a super small town, right? I mean, I feel like her market is like Duncan. I asked Stacey the other day, I said, is Duncan finally over 100,000 average sales price? He's like, oh yeah, they're about 120.
Right.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
And so his, the thought with Mary, and so she really, she doesn't have like we did, right? We didn't play well with a lot of the other agents in the marketplace.
Right.
And she's kind of in the similar situation, but she wants to do the training. She wants to bring people in. She wants to pour into them. She wants to add value. She wants to let them know that she's not evil, right? She's here to just pour into people and help them, become better. And so my initial thought, and love your feedback on this in attacking a small market. One, their guard is going to be way up. They're already way guarded. And so how do you bring that guard down and start to build a little bit of trust? And I mean, I like the panel format, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if you've been in the market as long as she has, as long as we have, doing a panel, getting a couple agents that would want to be on the panel at all the different companies like Al did. And it's not, and you have to execute on a non-threatening event to where they don't feel, oh, here it is, right? Here it is. Here we're coming, because they already have that belief, even though that belief's not true, that's what they believe. And I think, when you have that in your marketplace, you've got to focus on doing things to add value and build trust. And then what I told her, and I love your thoughts on this, is that the offer out of the panel event would be to join the weekly training. And, we've got a lot of honey badgers that have executed on this at the highest of levels. Tina Cole's doing it at probably the highest level. And if you guys listening in didn't catch the Expert Mentors live episode I had her on a couple of weeks ago. She broke it down. She broke the whole process down of what they do. And I think they're 36, 37 weeks straight of doing that 1 hour weekly. And she said 2 to 3 times they come to that event, they're interested in what it would look like to align and work with her closer.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. It's a great way to continuously, be in front of them, continuously add value. The other thing that I like too, and this is just a strategy that Jeff Kiani was using with the Branded Agent University, is if your call to action is, hey, join my free training, you can give them whatever training that you want to for free.
Yeah.
All of our training, you can give that away. And when agents start going through, there's certain agents that we knew it when they plowed through everything, and they're just vacuuming it all up. And those agents they're the ones that are going to want to come over. If they're spending hours with getting access to that kind of training, the thought is, well, what more could I be getting if I was with them? If I joined with those guys. And so that's it's a way for you to kind of tell, hey, listen, I invited all these agents into this training. Some of them are getting some value. It's a good reason for you to follow up and have a conversation. You got a good reason to call them. And so that I love that aspect of using Branded Agent University for that. I love the weekly training, like consistently live weekly training. You could also put that stuff in Branded Agent University as well. But that weekly training you're just adding value. That's really what it boils down to. And and again, you kind of get the leverage of everyone in the group being able to share what they're doing. And I've heard this a few times. I'm sure you have too, John. Is like, hey, what's going on in the market today? Like, hey, I made an offer. There was only 17 offers this time over in this neighborhood. Or hey, you can start to really get the temperature of what's going on in the marketplace, which everybody benefits from. Saying, okay, well, it's starting to cool off a little bit over here, or hey, it's still crazy over here. So when you're talking to clients, you have real time information. That's up, weekly. What's really going on in the marketplace, where you allows you to be more of an expert when you are working with clients.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And so, yeah, I just think, all low barrier, build trust activities moving into, we say, small market, but it's a principle that would apply to any and all markets, especially as you're niching in community wise with agents. It's just how do we build trust? So absolutely.
The time spent with you, equals trust, and your trust is what it takes for people to join you.
Yeah, 100% time, and you look at even the people that have made the move over in the last 5 years, very few just go hit the button and sign up. A majority of them are spending time consuming content and you're building the trust to where now their guards down and they're open. And they're trying to see. The other thing that I would say too, cuz, is that like you just mentioned those agents that jump in that just, vacuum everything up. Those are the agents that are the most coachable. And I just love Robert Greene's take on Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule. And he says the only thing that challenges the 10,000 hour rule, he says, I believe it. I believe it's true. The one thing that it will only challenge that is coaching. And, you're looking for agents that are coachable instead of trying to pour your heart in to make them coachable. They have to be coachable on their own.
Yep.
And it's always the good reminder, right? Those B players are the ones that you're spending time with instead of your family.
Yep.
Yeah. What else y'all got? What else is on your mind? Those are the two big things that I've been seeing that I really wanted to make sure got Jay's perspective on to lean in is, hey, if you're paralyzed, it's because you're focused on survival. and you gotta step back and remember where you're trying to go, and have the resources, and keep moving. Keep moving. It's either you believe, you're either growing or you're dying. If you're standing still, that ain't growing. And I love John Maxwell's take. It's like everything in life is uphill. And so you're just going to have to keep moving. And it helps when you have a known direction, knowing where you're wanting to go, and, surrounding yourself with the right environment that's going to push you and challenge you, awareness, going to inspire you to take action, and going to hold you accountable. And that's what the Honey Badger Nation is all about, man. Really, it is, man. We create a ton of awareness. There's tons of inspiration to take action. And, however level of accountability you want, it's there.
Yes, it is.
Where's Baker going?
Man, I don't know. They're saying, what are they saying?
Carolina.
Carolina, right?
Yeah. Michelle, how do I make shareholders an offer they can't say no to for any prospects? What's your take, cuz, on paying for or versus having them make an investment?
So for the right person, I know it's worth making the investment. If it's a whale, and they're interested enough that they'd be willing to come to that event, then it's worth it, because these events do move the needle. How do you make, this is a really good question, because the challenge is shareholders is, the content is largely around the company and the direction of the company and things of that nature. I haven't seen the agenda. I know, John, you're speaking, right?
Yep.
Main stage. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I'm super excited.
Big crowd there.
Yeah.
You get in front of. So that's great. So as far as the script, I mean, Al had a really good script that he was using for events. And he basically would just call and ask, hey, what are what are you doing on such and such date, where that is, June something, right? June 17th. Riggs, turn that down. Thank you. He would get clarity that they were free on that date, and I can't remember what he would say after that.
He would kind of lead into it, but yeah, he nailed. He said, "Hey, I just quick question. Are you available these dates?" And then if they were, he would go in. Great. Have you seen Tony Robbins before? Yeah. So he used that example. Right, yeah. Hey, have you been to Orlando before?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Have you seen Jay Shetty?
Right.
So do you know who Jay Shetty is? Right. And it's just those things like that. So you can kind of lead into it. And it's like, hey,
I wouldn't so much call it shareholders. That's not, they're not interested in EXP or shareholders, but you wanted to make it about the event or the location, or a combination of those things is kind of the angle that I think you want to take with people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially if you've already had some dialogue with them.
Listen, for live events, man. I mean, it's still, people want to get out and go to events right now.
Yeah, they do.
I get messages.
Now, you can fly an airplane without a mask.
Right. Yeah.
So, for sure. I think that's where you want to start the dialogue. I liked Al's approach with the dates. And then if they're not available, then you can, push them to something else. But you always want to be pushing them to something. And I was just thinking something. I was reading back through David's last comment. He's bringing over an 80-plus producer, decently known in town, who was leaving a team to start his own team. What I would give kind of a word of caution is cannot go in talking about just EXPing all over everybody. I think you got to come in adding value. I love being new. You can play the new card. Hey, this is my decision. I mean, that's a great question. If I could get you on if I can get you on a call with, I was positioning you. If I can get you on a call with, one of the 3 to 4 people that's instrumental for the exponential growth of this company, would you get on it?
Yeah.
So you just got to know where to push them to. But I would not, especially in a small town, EXP all over everybody.
Yeah.
Because that spreads like wildfire. And you want it to spread like wildfire in your favor, that you're just coming in, starting a team, adding value. This is the direction I'm going to go. Push, push, push. Cool. Any other questions, thoughts? What else you guys got? What else is on your mind? What are some other great events coming up? You've got Build coming up in Dallas in August.
Yep.
You've got our Agent to CEO event in the Land, piggybacking Al's Rock and Rescue event in September. So that's September the 7th and 8th. It's a Wednesday, Thursday. And that's really, tailored around, building and growing your business. If you look at the 8 stages, it's probably ideal for stages 3 and above. And plus, you get to come to a great event, and your ticket to Agents to CEO is going to get you a ticket into the Rock and Rescue event that Al has. His annual event that they do there in Cleveland. You've got EXPCon later in the year. Of course, our NAEA CHSA CHBA boot camp, which is always the first week of December. I think it's lived the first week of December for over a decade. So it's the first week of December. So you've got that coming up, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other great events popping up along the way. Good stuff. Good questions. What you been paying attention to? What you been reading lately?
Man, shoot, it's been crazy the last couple weeks. Let's see what I got in my last.
Have you listened to the new Tyson Rogan podcast?
I have not gone through that new one.
They're both high as kites. So if you remember
the gain again, actually, is what I was just listening to.
So remember the first Tyson Rogan, Mike was high as a kite, right? And then could never fight, tap into his ego. Well, then he was back on the next time, and he was like he was Iron Mike. And then this one, they're both just like, I cried. I was laughing so hard at them at one time, because I know they're both just they're on another planet, and they're laughing about the stupidest things. It's just kind of contagious. I don't know. It's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe halfway through it. I think it's almost 4 hours long.
Right. That's a long time.
It's entertaining. I will say that, especially if you're a Mike Tyson fan.
Right.
Gap in the game, man. Yeah, that one's definitely worth revisiting.
Yeah.
Went back through Goggins again. Can't Hurt Me, not too long ago.
Yeah. That's
amazing. If I think if you're really looking to grow, and you struggle with typically doing everything on your own, Dan Sullivan's other book, Who Not How.
Yep.
Super powerful, reset that kind of, the reprogramming mindset is good. You've been down in the Bitcoin crypto world too, a lot lately, haven't you?
Yep, I have.
How do you see that's gonna impact impact real estate?
Yeah. So I mean, absolutely. I mean, they would be doing smart contracts right now if it had just got to a point where I don't think this really quite yet to the point where it'll work, but they would be selling houses where you keep a percentage of ownership forever. And Dorado, for sure, they'd be doing that. And people would do it. I mean, right now, this would be the perfect example of, hey, I'm going to sell you this house. I'm going to retain 5% ownership. Every time it sells, I'm going to make 5% forever if I sell this property to you at this price. And people would still buy them today. And so there's going to be smart contracts are going to be a huge change. And I know there's a lot of stuff NAR's doing right now that I saw some panel that they have. So I'm going to plug into it, because I'm sure that there's more things that we need to be in the know of around crypto and real estate, because it's definitely the future.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I am 100% ignorant to all of it. So I know it's definitely one of those areas to uncover, because like you said, I believe it's just a matter of when. Matter of when. Awesome. Man, you better go get to all of your sand gear.
Yep.
From your mouth when the wind's blowing 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Brutal.
Like the house is rocking right now. That's how windy it is up here.
Yeah. That's the worst. That's not the ideal.
Maybe it'll blow through and it'll be you guys will get a nice day.
Yeah.
For sure. Awesome. Appreciate you guys jumping in. If you haven't checked it out, head over to Branded Agent University. I think it's brandedagentuniversity.com. If not, Google it. If not, hit me up, hit Cuz up. We'll get you guys the link. Definitely worth checking out. Get on a demo call with Jeff, and it'll definitely collapse a lot of time for you.
Yep.
Kelly's asking a quick question here. Do we have any honey badger who are kind of experts on the crypto side of things?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. If somebody, tag that person if there's somebody that's really an expert. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not an expert. I'm certainly not an expert when it relates to translating it over to real estate and how it's most likely going to be utilized.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, throw it out there, Kelly. It's a great question. You'll get a ton of responses. It's one cool thing about that community.
I know, Jeff is definitely is an expert. And Willems he's got over 10 million in crypto.
Whew.
Yeah.
My goodness. Awesome. All right, Cuz, appreciate you. Thank you guys. Guys, keep rocking and rolling. Make sure you got that goal, that target, that map, that plan in place. Don't get paralyzed. Keep moving. Keep moving. We'll catch you guys next time.
All right, guys.
All right. See ya.
Yep.